Hello, everybody. Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Welcome to Coach's Corner on this beautiful day, this wonderful Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. If you're in the U.S., we have a global call as usual. We're in different parts of the world, but we're all made out of the same stuff and connecting with the same energy and connecting with you. See, like how I did that, huh?
Yes.
But you'll start to understand that at a deeper level today. And if you haven't seen them, make sure you watch the last Sundays because we talked a lot about what we're sharing today. And today is a part two of something that you can't escape because you're a part of it. So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach slash business consultant. And my purpose is to reveal the hidden potential already within you and help guide you to your truest desires. So I help individuals, entrepreneurs, business owners basically reach higher milestones that, you want to achieve. And basically believing in that goal and believing in yourself. That's what it's all about. And I shifted a little bit. I'm Coach Jamel on IG if you want to find me. And I'm in Maryland on the East Coast. So I'll pass it to my amazing colleague, Alicia.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alicia Espinosa. I'm also a certified values and mindset coaching, and I help people to increase their awareness so that they can create a life that feels good on the inside, not just looks good at the outside. So this is me, Paul.
Thank you, Alicia. My name's Paul Wooters. I'm in Burlington, Ontario, Canada. I'm a success mindset coach, Proctor Gallagher consultant, author, speaker. And, there was a time when, I was thinking positive and setting goals, but the results weren't matching until I came across this fabulous material and Bob Proctor. And now I devote myself and my time to helping individuals create the life they want, create the life that they desire and deserve to become and be and do and have all the things that you deserve and desire for yourself, and to live to your greatest possibilities. And I will pass this over to Lou Perica.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you, Paul, Alicia, and Jamel. Thank you all for being here. If you're catching the replay, we're grateful to have you here. So my name is Lou Perica, and I too am a certified success mindset coach. And I support and guide women who may be feeling stuck or unfulfilled, and I help them reconnect with their truth and by shifting their mindset so they can gain some clarity, confidence, and the courage to finally take inspired action towards the life that feels aligned, fulfilling, and on purpose. And I'm super grateful to be here, and I'm excited to dive into part two of the law of vibration and attraction. Jamel?
Wow. I am so grateful to share this material with my amazing colleagues. If you haven't seen Coach's Corner, it's your first time, just scroll through our social media. We're on multiple platforms, and there's so much energy and stories and experience shared amongst all of us here. And today is the sequel to, basically what dictates our entire universe. And why not be excited talking about this? But not only talking about it and explaining it, it's to gather the understanding of who you are and how you're connected to everything. This is all the superhero movies you've seen putting into one, all the great stories you ever read put into one.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
everything. So we're really going to talk a little bit here. So just to give you an understanding, and thanks to Lou and Alicia, we talked a little bit off camera to kind of explain who we are. All right. And we'll go into depth, but this is a great introduction to kind of give you a clearer understanding of who we are. We mentioned it before on different episodes, but I know this topic is very powerful. So make sure you drop some comments or questions here live, or even after the replay posts, because we can talk about this forever. We can do a part 100. Part 100, right, Alicia? But the point is to gather the understanding, right? So we're a 3-part being, right? And different studies and religions and everything explains it with different words sometimes, but essentially we're spiritual beings. That's what we are. We are spiritual beings. Spirit, also energy as well, if you come from the science side of it. There's science and theology, right? We are spiritual beings, and we have an intellect, right? That's intellectual mind. That's the thinking mind, right? I just want to add in thoughts become things. I'll just add that in, okay? And then we have the physical. Everything you see, right? You see my hands, you see my face, you see all our faces. You see Alicia's pen, you see Lou's ring, right? And her wonderful hair.
Thank you.
You see Paul's tan, right? And his wisdom. Well, it depends on your perception if you can see wisdom. Right? But the point is, everything you see on the physical plane once came from the unseen, which is the spirit realm. That's where thoughts are. That's where high vibration is, right? Well, it's all vibrating, and we'll talk about that as well. So we thought we'll explain that a little bit, just so we can kind of segue into where we left off, which is vibration. And we were talking a lot about law of vibration, and we'll kind of move into a few things after that. Anybody want to share, a little bit on how I just broke it down real quick?
I think you did a great job. I think we can just dive into the different topics. I don't know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just my opinion.
So that means I did a good job. Great. Thank you.
Do a good job, of course.
Thank you, Lou. So let's talk about the law of vibration. All right. And wow. The law of vibration accounts for the difference between mind and matter, between the physical and the non-physical worlds. Oh, this is so good. So right off the top here, according to the law of vibration, we postulate that everything vibrates or moves, right? Mm-hmm. Nothing sits idle. Everything is in a constant state of motion, and therefore there is no such thing as inertia or a state of rest. From the most ethereal to the most gross form of matter, everything is in a constant state of vibration. Now, I mentioned on many episodes, as I start to talk about this, all of our vibration changes. Even Lou mentioned this, several times, and we all have. Mm-hmm. And you feel that vibration on a subconscious level. So nothing rests. It may appear to be solid, but all the molecules and atoms and all this stuff is moving around at a high frequency, at a vibrational rate. Energy is manifested in all varying degrees of vibration. And as we talk about it, that's thought energy. And probably our body temperatures raises if we were to check our pulse and temperature, right? Because our pulse probably goes up as well. So rates of vibration are called frequencies, okay? So, and the higher the frequency, the more potent the force. So since thought is one of the highest forms of vibration, it is very potent in nature, and therefore it must be understood by all of us. So it talks about thoughts being frequency and energy, and how we must understand the power of our thoughts. That's a great place to start. Yeah, that's a great place to start. Anybody want to add to that?
Well, I wanted to, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but one of the topics that we're going to be discussing is the law of resonance. And resonance is the factor that governs the transmutation of energy. So when you of vibrations, when we have a thought, you have to really think about what are thoughts, where do they come from? Am I having the same thoughts over and over? And how do we really keep track of 60,000 plus thoughts a day? It's really almost impossible to do that. However, the creator thought of something. Well, how do I feel? We talked about this last week. How do I feel during the day? Am I doing, periodical check-ins with myself just to see how I'm feeling? And right before we came live, we were discussing, I said, I feel amazing. And the reason I feel more and more amazing each day is because I'm so full of gratitude and so aware of my environment, but also but I look for the good in my environment. I look for the blessings and I absorb it. Can I look for the opposite? Absolutely. But I choose not to. And this is where our power lies, because we have the ability to choose. We have the ability to direct our thoughts. And this is what separates us from the animal kingdom, that we actually have the ability to change our vibration. And later on, in the book, and I share this story, I'll do it a little bit later on, about the acorn. That's one of my favorite analogies, how Bob explains about the acorn and the law of vibration and law of attraction. I think it's later on in the chapter. But to be mindful of what you're thinking, it takes effort. And this is why 2 to 4% of our results come from our conscious mind. Because the majority of our days and our weeks and our months and our years and our decades are lived out unconsciously through habit, through beliefs, through the same old, same old. So thinking actually takes some effort. And we get to choose and decide how we want to feel today. How do we want to show up? How do we want to be remembered? That was my new question this week for myself. How do I want to be remembered? Well, if I want to be remembered as a cranky, always negative, then that's how I'll show up. But I'm choosing not to. I'm choosing to daily decide, I just want to show up as my best loving self today. But it takes effort to do that. But I am choosing to guide my thought process. Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Lou. What stands out for me so far in what we've been discussing is that this concept, Bob ties this concept into conscious awareness of vibration. We're receiving thoughts, or our brain is receiving thoughts, which are vibrations from internal and external sources. And these thoughts dictate the vibrations or state that our body moves into. And that's why your feelings, which are bodily responses to your most dominant thoughts, are really, really powerful indicators of your vibration, the vibration that you're in. And when you understand that your mind, is directing, it's directing the brain, and the brain activates the body, then you can gain a sense of control over how you feel, act, and ultimately what you are bringing or attracting into your life. And that reinforces the foundational principle of Bob's work, that we're not victims of circumstances, but we are creators of thought. right? Everything, as Jamel said, everything moves, nothing rests. Everything, from a rock to your thoughts, it's energy in motion. It just, you know, even when objects appear still, they're vibrating at a molecular level, and your thoughts are vibrations, and they're magnetic, and the frequency at which you think is going to determine what you attract. So negative thoughts place you in a negative vibration, and you attract those results. So the law of vibration is really the primary law. People have heard of the law of attraction, but it's a secondary law, and the law of attraction works based on the law of vibration. So you attract according to the vibration you're in. And as Lou said, you can decide what your thoughts are, right? We decide what our thoughts are. We decide how we want to show up today, and how we want to act, and how we want to respond or react. So you are in control of your vibration, and you can shift your vibration consciously by changing your thoughts. And your emotional state is a direct reflection of your vibration. So feeling good, you're in a high vibration. Feeling bad, low vibration. Alicia.
Yeah, I start also that with the thought, because the thought is the vibrational frequency. We start there. So depending on the quality of the thought that we have, we will feel different. So I did the staircase. So this is the you can say the staircase case. Yeah, and assume that here is the quality of your thought here. So if you have here quality of thought, where here is low quality of thought, and here is high quality of thought, depending on how we have our thought, we will get in different steps here. Because if you have a thought that I'm not good enough, then here you will be here feeling in the lower place here. But if you have a thought that I am good enough, then you are what here. So depending on the quality, I normally write here Q for quality. Your quality of your thought will determine where you are in this scale. And here, down here, is like you are the death. So you are like not feeling anything. And here maybe is love. So whatever it is your thought, you are resonating to that. And I love about the energy, that everything is energy. I have a master's degree in material science. So when I was working in the research and development department, we test, for example, things, and we look at the special microscope to see how the atoms is always moving, the electrons and protons and everything. So I can talk a lot about this because it's my profession. But everything is moving all the time. So your thought and your body and everything is moving all the time. And something that I learned a lot from, I don't know if you are familiar with the Vipassana meditation. Are you familiar with that? It's like the meditation that Buddha has trained people. And in that meditation, you learn with respiration, to feel the sensations in your body. And we have all the time sensations in our body, but because we are so in everything, we cannot feel that. But when you stay in a rest and only focusing in your breath and scanning your body, you will learn how much your body have sensation everywhere. And this is that because we are all always vibrating, and we are always, attracting things to us. So it's very important what the quality of the thought we're having, because if it's not good, if you're always here, then you will attract more of this energy, the frequency where you are, you will attract more of that, because it's what resonation is, that you will, is a body that vibrates something will make the other body to vibrate the same frequency. So if you are not in the and sometimes people think that it's not good to be here. It is when you learn to, of course it's not good to be there, but what happens is that if we don't think that we cannot allow us to be angry or frustrated or something like that, it's not that what we want to tell you. It's like it's okay to feel that emotion, because it's the body telling you that you need something. So if you are frustrated, the emotion of frustration says that something important to us is not fulfilled. And then when you are aware of that, then you can do something. So when you are here in that, it's like feeling the emotion and asking yourself, what is what I need at the moment in order to go to the next level, next level, next level. It's something that I tell my clients, it's like not trying to jump from here to here, or thinking that it's not to be here, because then you be shame or blame yourself because you are attracting bad things to you. No, it's to be aware of what you are feeling, aware of your emotions, so then you can start making good decisions, so you can jump to next level and next level. That is what I came to with the idea of the thought. Yeah.
Good job.
That's good thinking.
Yeah, I have so much to say, but it's like, okay.
No, that's really good. That's really good. Thank you, Alicia. That was so powerful. It reminds me of something I help my clients with. I recommend check-ins every 2 hours or so and say, how do I feel? How do I feel right now? And you know what I tell myself as well? I'm here and I'm present. Every time I either move from another room or I do a different task. So that way I can recenter and be focused on my awareness of my energy. And how you feel will always tell you how you're thinking, right? So if you're thinking this wonderful, a great ride you had, right? Or eating at a nice restaurant, or an experience with a loved one, you start thinking those thoughts. And what we're sharing here, thoughts are energy. So when you're thinking those thoughts, you're shifting everything, your whole molecular vibration. And speaking of that, there was a great illustration or conceptualization here in the book. They say to obtain a more graphic conceptualization of the idea of vibration. We're talking about thoughts now, but this should just give you a different perspective. Just stretch out one of your arms straight out in front of you, and then hold it perfectly still. While you are holding it still, and are unable to perceive any motion in that arm at all, know that electrons which compose the arm are moving, shaking, quivering, or vibrating at the rate of 186,300 miles per second.
Whoa.
Huge, right? And then it goes on to say, start shaking your arm. So then you're adding more vibrational state. So that just tells you there's nothing that's sitting still, right? Nothing that's sitting still. And Thanks for joining us there, David. I wanted to acknowledge your comment there. Yeah. You know, if your thoughts are not congruent with your actions, right, you're out of harmony, right? And vibration is everything. But that's funny you say that, because that's praxis, right? Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. You can believe something in your conscious mind up here, but not believe it here subconsciously, right? And that means you're out of total harmony, is basically what it's sharing there. And then we talked about, you know, negative and positive thoughts, right? It goes right into positive, negative personalities. People, as a rule, can be classified as positive personalities, optimists, or negative personalities, pessimists. So it's so funny. They say right here, there's a quote for people that tend to be pessimists or negative people or personalities. Let's correct that. Negative personalities. Right?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
It says, I feel all right today, but I might feel bad tomorrow. What kind of mindset is that, right? Would you want to be around somebody that thinks like that every day, right? And it doesn't mean the person's bad. It's just because of their conditioning, right? They've been focused on this negative thing for a long time, and you can always change your thoughts and your vibrational state, right? So it just kind of breaks down the two different types of personalities, and the key is you have the ability to change it. I didn't want to kind of brush over that, because we kind of talked about how our thoughts are essential to our vibrational state and how we feel. But it even goes here. Negative personalities are depressing to everyone around them. Their faces take on the expression in physical form of the negative thoughts which they are holding in their minds, right? Each day, one can observe such individuals passing on the street. No cheer, no joy radiates from them, just gloom, frowns, and hostility. Having created their own hell for themselves, they seem to enjoy following in it. And that's the quote we ended on last time. The mind itself and in its own place can make a hell out of heaven or a heaven out of hell. That's John Milton. That is so powerful. And those people that are, you know, just seeing everything in a negative way for years to come, you can feel that energy. You can see it, right? So just something to keep in mind. But of course, on the other end, someone that's finding the good in everything, it even talked about that, where there's good in everything, even in the bad, right? But this is the law of polarity. You need, and relativity, you need an opposite to see the other version of it. So for the person that always sees the bad and good, you're going on these great vacations, and here goes, you know, Sour Steve or Negative Nancy complaining about everything, and you're in a beautiful, you know, oasis. Hey, palm trees, beautiful birds, great food, great drink, whatever. And you have to find one bad thing about it, right? And dwell on it. What does that say about your mindset, right? So vice versa. You know, you get a flat tire. Well, at least I didn't crash the car. At least I got 3 more tires. You know, at least I have a car. At least my family's safe, right? So this is perception as well. So you see the good in everything. And as you look for the good, you'll continuously see the good in everything. It's very, very powerful to understand and to practice, to apply, not just hear it. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that you brought up, because I even have that on my notes right here. Faces, and I put /body, takes on the expression in physical form. How many of us, and maybe I was that way at one point. I met someone the other day and her face and body just expressed the heaviness of her thoughts, of her vibration. And I was a little reluctant to get into a conversation, but I also know that the human aspect that I'm speaking to, the personality that I'm speaking to, is not really who that person is. I know it's just conditioned thoughts, not understanding about themselves, the three aspects of themselves, the spirit, the intellect, and the physical. So when I see somebody like this, when and it's really a blessing because it makes me, it confirms what we share with everyone. It just confirms. So I always look for the good. And it's almost like, oh, they're just going to throw up on me. Right? Here it comes. Blech, and all the negativity. But I understand it doesn't have to be this way. They don't understand it at the moment, but I do. So when I'm speaking to someone and having a conversation and I'm really connecting with the soul. To me, it's like getting a bunch of cobwebs out of the way. Oh yeah, they're just going blah, blah, blah. And when you just let somebody express themselves and just, because all of us just want to be heard and appreciated and listened to. So I just allow them to throw up on me. And I just now, is it out of you? And then I like to start a soulful, meaningful conversation that gets them to think a little bit differently. But it depends. Some people really dig their heels in, right? Like this is the way it is, and this is how I'm going to show up, and I know this is how I feel, and I'm familiar with it. And to go into the unknown on the other side, if you will, to feel good, to feel joy, to feel love can be very scary for some. But again, we all have the ability to shift that. It's just everything comes up, and your whole world, and notice how I say your, meaning mine, Alicia's, Jamel's, Paul, your world is a reflection, it's a mirror for you to see your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors to give you the ability now to choose and make decisions. So don't be looking at, someone else's world, their results. Look at your own because it's speaking to you and giving you the opportunities to shift those thoughts, shift those vibrations, get in alignment. The reason we feel crappy is because we're out of alignment with our spiritual side. We've now entered the mind body, the human side, and we've walked away from the spiritual side. That's why it's so important, no matter who your coach is, who your mentor is, whatever program you're taking, it's so necessary that all three parts of us are discussed and learned and studied, not just the mind body stuff. But this is when you feel lousy, it means you're out of alignment with your truth. And look at your world, look at your environment, look at your results, and see what is being mirrored back. And know that we have the ability to shift that. Paul?
Yeah, I love the example where you said, Lou, that some people just dig their heels in. Right? Oh, they're claiming that's it. I'm big. No, that's reality. This is reality. You're not being realistic. And they claim that is reality.
Yeah.
But when you understand your vibration, then you can intentionally align with the frequency of the life that you want. And so it's really important. There's a great distinction. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are.
Mm.
And I think that's such a valuable thing to really consider. And it's really great to, as Jamel said, as Lou said, to stop yourself and have a little period of reflections throughout the day. And you ask yourself, how aware of your own vibration throughout the day? And how does that shift your understanding of thinking positive versus being in alignment? Because there's a little bit of a difference there, right? Thinking positive or being in alignment. Because as Jamel said, when you had that stick man, you can think positive, but really you don't believe it in your subconscious mind. So it's never going to line up for you. And then, ask yourself, what kind of results have you been attracting? And how might that reflect your dominant vibration? What habits or environments influence your vibration the most? So the really, really key questions. And, that's where that role of the subconscious mind, as Jamel, when he held up that stick man, is so important, because that subconscious mind is going to accept whatever you impress upon it through repetition and emotion. And that's going to determine your vibration, and that's going to determine what you attract. Thank you, Jamel. Alicia.
Now, I was thinking when you were talking about person that is always thinking about catastrophic, thinking. And I say, well, that was me 20 years ago. I always was thinking, yeah, but it can be this, it can be that. And yeah, and what happened that it was a mechanism to keep me safe.
Mm-hmm.
That I use it to keep me safe, but think I'm going to do this, but it probably will not work great. So I need to fix, and something that if it's happened, then I can this solution. I need to have this solution already today. If tomorrow don't will be okay, And I was constantly on that. The problem was that I was not living in the now. I was living in the future that I was creating with the fear of the past all the time. I was creating my future with the fear that I had in the past. Everything that in my life, my childhood, I was creating. Yeah, but it can be this, it can be this, So I was not like living in the now. And I was not open for these tools. And I believe that people do the best they can with the resources, the knowledge, and the skills they have. And at the time, I thought that I have all the skill that I needed, and that was what I needed. And I was not open to anything else. And then also, and I also discuss this with my clients, because they say, why do we work with ourselves? Then maybe we think that we are not good enough. Yeah, we don't work with ourselves to show that we are good enough. We are working with ourselves to discover ourselves, what is behind all the paradigms and the programmings and everything that we have created from the childhood. This is what we are going to discover, because it's already inside us, but all these paradigms, they don't let us, come to the light with who we really are. And I wasn't open for ideas. I have a really, really static mindset, the fixed mindset that this is. And today I was we have a lake here, and I was then, and I came along, and then it was a family with a child. Maybe she was 2 years. And the father, was doing something, and she was so happy. And again, Papa, again. And he did that. And then the mother wanted to do the same. And she said, no, not you, Papa. and she did that. And then the mother asked, do you want to jump? Yes, she said. And she started to jump with Mama. And then the father wanted to help. And she said, no, only Mama, again. So this is how we create a behavior or a habit. We start with something and we think this was good, and we want to do that, and it will be a behavior and a habit that we get, and then we will get fixed with that behavior or habit. And when somebody come and say, yeah, but you should test this, you say, no, 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 because I have this behavior that is good for me. Even at the moment, that behavior or that habit is not good for you. It's not taking you where you want to be. But we are like, we want to stay there and not try anything else. Just that we know that once it was good, but maybe today is not good. And I don't know if you read a book, it's called What Got You Here Will Not Get You There, from Marshall Goldsmith. And it's about always that we need all the time to work with ourselves. And as you go outside your comfort zone, so you need to learn even more things that is already inside you, but you need to discover that.
That is so good to discover and to understand. I love it.
Yeah.
So good. They say personal development is a lifelong journey, and it really is. You can totally be unaware of this knowledge and be creating without it, where you can create with it, right? And we also develop these habits. That reminds me, you can't escape a prison if you don't know that you're in one. And a lot of us create mental prisons unknowingly, and we take this to our graves, until this physical part is done, right? So speaking of physical part, there's a part where they talk about the brain and the body. The human body is one of the most efficient electrical instruments in this entire universe. So we have a lot going on, in our bodies. We have a lot of power. And it's interesting. I never really looked at my life like this. I was like, I felt powerful, but now I'm starting to understand my true power. I got more power. And I always was into, cartoons and, like I mentioned, all superhero stuff. And they had power. It was like their imagination was speaking to me, the people that created these characters. It says the brain is part of the body where all manner of frequencies are transformed from one frequency level into another. So this is where confusion comes in with most people. The mind and body are two different things, really. The brain is just part of the body, and the body is an instrument of the mind. So the brain is basically an electronic switching station. It even says the brain is simply a vibratory instrument. And they went into detail here, but I won't go that far into detail, but it's very important to understand the difference there. And then it mentions it is, unfortunately, this really spoke to me, a very common sight to see people in a bad or confused vibrations busily attempting through force to achieve good results. However, due to the negative vibration which they're in, they are continually being bombarded by all manner of negative people and situations, which by law are being attracted to them. There's that word, attracted. Consequently, at some point, their battle must become overwhelming for them. So this part really stood out to me because that's the hustle mentality of trying to do everything in a day and trying to force everything. Force negates. Like, you can't force it. It's very natural to become, to be. And that's why your thoughts are important. That's why we're talking so much about your vibrational state. And just piggying back off of that, it says, however, by virtue of your free will and the many other mental factors in your marvelous mind, you have the co-creative ability to cause vibratory changes to take place at your bidding in your life. Our own ignorance about the law of vibration, it says the cause for our lack of ability to exercise this tremendous power for good, by the way, is nothing other than our own ignorance about the law of vibration. So now we're getting an understanding of what the law of vibration is and what it does for you. This is so important to understand. And think about how many people walk around and are not even consciously aware of the thoughts they're putting energy into, right? They're releasing to the universe. Some people go back and forth. You know, that was me. Yeah, I went back and forth. I allowed certain things to dictate my own thought process. But, you know, studying this and joining Coach's Corner where topics are covered like this, you're shifting everything. More than just your bank account. You're shifting your entire life. The bank account's just a small part of it. So it says, we can say they are in residence. This is when you're connecting with something, right? You're visualizing, imagining, you're in harmony. And this is what I believe David was talking about earlier. So, or in rapport. So when two objects are in resonance or vibrating at the same speed, this reminds me of love. For a lot of you that are married or in relationships, you're vibrating at the same frequency, right? At the same speed. The vibratory rate may be transmitted from one to the other through the medium of electron resonance as a field of study is concerned with electromagnetic fields surrounding. So Alicia brought up something that helped me remember. I went to school. I got a degree in music engineering and audio production. We used to study sound waves and how the vibratory rate of certain items, how we can crack the glass, the wine glass with certain frequencies. You know, we looked at it visually. In my eyes, I couldn't stop staring. I was like, wow. So that's what the middle C note looks like visually. You can see the waves moving around. And we had to measure the length between each crest and valley or whatever. And then we'll change the note, right, to A. And then we studied certain keys, A minor, A major, C minor, D sharp, whatever, all these different scales. And it gave a different emotion. And it made me think of like binaural beats and frequencies, how you can basically change your vibrational state based on audio. This is a science. Also, spiritual element as well. So I shared a lot there, but the point is the vibratory resonance, what you're connected with, what you tune into, you turn into. Thoughts become things. So this is why your mind is the center of divine operation. If you're not aware of it, doesn't mean check every thought, but sometimes you just need to relax and say, how am I feeling right now? That's a reconnection to all your power, regardless of how hard you work or whatever. Like you can't force it. You can't force it. Trust me, I tried for a long time. But you have to really understand this. And it even said, it said, the cause for our lack of ability to exercise this power is simply ignorance, just not knowing about this. So I know that was a mouthful. I wanted to get some key points there. Anybody?
Yeah, I wanted to touch upon. So we're talking a lot about thoughts, and I want to talk about being, because we're trying to shift our thoughts, change our thoughts, redirect our thoughts with the same thinking that's really creating them. And I was talking with someone the other day, and they were talking about when they go off the handle, right? There's something triggered them, right? And that triggering point is something that's prompting an old suppressed experience, that every time they hear or see something, it triggers that. So I said, I used to do that too. And now sometimes something can trigger me, but not nearly as much as it used to. But I ask myself, do I even want to go there? Is that who I want to be? So sometimes I may not be able to get into the thinking aspects of it, but by simply just asking myself, is that who I want to be? Is that how I want to be remembered? If I go there, how am I going to feel? I already know the answer to that, right? So I was reading a book and it gives this, I may have shared it last week, the example of a glass of water. Let's just say the glass of water's half full, and then the other half is oil. You put in oil. Now the water and the oil are in the same environment, but the oil is not going to mix with the water. So the premise of that thought, that idea, that example is to rise above. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to show up as? What version of me do I want to demonstrate in this particular moment? But again, in order to do that, you have to be in the now. I can't think of who do I want to show up yesterday, because yesterday's gone. And I can't think of really who do I want to show up as tomorrow, because tomorrow's not here. So to be in the present and to ask yourself, who do I want to be? Who do I want to show up as? There's a little thing here. I put a little heart around. The law of vibration will give people the awareness they require to make the personality changes they desire. I love that. Because when I show up as, right, it just doesn't feel good. We were talking about, like, my husband jokes around me, calls me Sister Betril, and for the older generation, it was a sitcom about a nun. So I prefer not to swear. Do I occasionally? Yeah, I do. But I prefer not to. Did I used to? Yeah. Why did I change? Why did I become consciously aware of what I was saying? Because it simply didn't feel good.
Mm.
It just didn't feel good. So by constantly experiencing something that doesn't feel good over, and this is the message, this is what this is what's being flashed in front of you all the time. And then it wasn't until I got into this material that I now became consciously aware of what was happening. That was just it. Things just happened. And I never realized the connection that I was creating my own environment, and it didn't feel good. And because I didn't like the feeling of whether it was swearing, whether it was reacting if someone cut me off, whether I was sitting in traffic and I had no control, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I didn't like those feelings. And becoming now consciously aware of that I was recreating it over and over, I now have the ability, or always had the ability, but now I can use the power of choice and decision. And that's what I've decided to do by following and studying this material, which in essence is to know thyself. Is to getting to know me. Oh, it's my life. It's my world. Doesn't it make sense to know me? Hey, anybody?
Yeah, I was thinking, Jamel talked about the mental prison before, and I came with the thought that many people, they put so much money and energy in the weight loss for the body, but they don't put energy for the weight loss in the head, or this overweight that you have in your mind. And then you also talk, Lou, about environment. And I think that our brain is constantly, searching in our environment and for meaning. And when with our sense, and then when it senses a mismatch between what you want or what it is, then it generate an emotion that the body pick up, and it's a guidance. So, for example, I wrote here: if you value freedom and you feel restricted, your brain might generate frustration to alert you that something is in the way. So then the body, they will feel in your body, you will feel that frustration. And these neuroscience have shown many research that every emotion create what is a physiological footprint in your body. So, for example, if you have fear, you can create tension, or you breathe here very very shallow or quick, and you get alert. So that is the body is picking up what the brain is saying. This is what you should feel just now. And then, because the emotions, the emotions carry information. I see that, as you know, if you in your car, you have this panel with many lights, and when the lights turns, you say, "Oh, this is the oil. I need to fill the oil," or the air in the wheels, I need to fix that, or is the motor or something that. So all this panel, all the lamps in the panel is telling you need to do something. The same is in our body. The emotion that the brain is creating is to alert us that something is off, or that we need to do something about that. So I have, for example, frustration. The message of that emotion is that I care about something, but something is blocking that. And the purpose of that is to call my attention that an obstacle is blocking that, what is important to me. And my action should be to investigate what is blocking that I want, and then get. And the same is for fear, or anger. For example, I wrote here, anger, the emotion says a boundary has been crossed or not respected. The purpose of anger is to protect what is important to you. And the action is that you should clarify what your needs are, and then communicate that. So when we are alert and living in the now, and the body is sending those bad vibrations, is to stop and reflect. What are my thoughts? What is those feelings that I have at the moment? And then do something so that you can raise the vibration. It's not like you are trying to always be like, everything is okay, nothing. No, it's not that, because then it will be not human, it will not be authentic, but it's feeling the emotion and asking yourself, what do I need to do to create this, to satisfy this need that I have at the moment, that don't let me be in the higher level of the staircase. that was something that, and we call this emotional literacy. I don't know if it's that is, it will be the same that vibrational mastery, that you master how you change your vibration all the time by using what the body is telling you, not to be ashamed, not to be angry with yourself or to feel that you are not good enough, but using the body as a tool to create the vibration that you want to be.
Anybody want to add on to that, Paul?
Well,
It was like,
I love the analogies that Alicia brought up there, and I loved, as Lou was speaking, you know, the real life example that she used about herself and about developing this, you know, conscious awareness, to be how important that is. And Jamel had said earlier that often we just go about on autopilot just out of ignorance. You know, we're creating without even really thinking about it, or we can be consciously aware and, you know, deliberately, you know, impress thoughts on ourselves. So I just wrote down a few questions that, you know, as an individual, you might think of. And so ask yourself, what thoughts are you consistently thinking that might be affecting the way your body feels or behaves? And that came up when Lou was speaking. She says, I don't want to, you know, I used to do this. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to do that. So she became aware, and then she made a different choice. We all have that ability, that freedom to choose, and we have that power to choose. And then ask yourself, when was the last time you consciously shifted your thinking and noticed a physical change in your energy? It's something really to consider. And the last thing I wrote down here was, how can you use your body more intentionally to reflect the energy or vibration that you want to live in? And that came after you know, the things that, the example that Lou brought up about herself. So I thought those were wonderful examples and fantastic analogies that Alicia brought up.
Oh, wow. All right, here's a whopper. That's so good, Paul. I love those questions. It gives a different direction for people to think about themselves, right? And how to really apply what we're sharing here. So that's so good you mentioned that, Paul. Everybody, you know, I just love this. And you brought it up, Alicia. So it invokes thought and insight and reflection, right? It's so powerful. So I'm going to share my screen. I realized I didn't share it the entire episode. And let's just dive into this very magical part. And it segues perfectly into a story I know Lou wants to share in this episode at the very end here. So
hold on, Jamel, I just want to interrupt it only because we're over an hour. So I wasn't sure if you were aware.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine.
I figure we'll wrap up part 2, you know, and not, you know, go into a part 3. So
okay.
if my colleagues don't mind, maybe
I'm
5 or 10
good.
minutes over. Is that okay?
I'm good.
Good. So let's this is a perfect segue into that story Lou is so excited to share. And, you know, everything is an expression of the same thing. And I love this part. Everything in this entire universe is connected to everything else in this entire universe through the law of vibration. So just as the colors in a rainbow are connected in such a way that you are not able to tell where one color stops and the other begins, so too are you unable to distinguish where one thing starts and another one stops. Everything in this universe is connected to everything else in this universe, just as the water that boils is connected to the steam into which it transmutes, and the steam is connected to the ether or the air into which it changes. You too are connected to everything in the universe. Whether you can see it with the naked eye or not is unimportant. The only physical difference which exists between one thing and another relates to the density or amplitude of vibration. This is so good. Therefore, as soon as you choose certain thoughts, your brain cells are affected. These cells vibrate and send off electromagnetic waves. So when you concentrate on those thoughts, you increase the amplitude of vibration of those cells. And the electric waves, in turn, become much more potent. So know that it is you, not me, not Lou, not Paul, not Alicia, you who is originating those electric waves. And know that you are also determining the density of them by your own free will. You must also know, since you're originating these electric waves, your whole being is being put in that particular vibration. So the fast forward here, when you hold the image of your goal, this is so important to understand, on the screen of your mind, in the present tense, bring it here, you are vibrating in harmony, which means you're in resonance with every particle of energy necessary for the manifestation of your image on the physical plane. So by holding that image, those particles of energy are moving toward you, attraction, and you are moving toward them, because that is the law. All things are merely manifestations of energy or spirit. This is huge. I circled it. I started. I did all these amazing things right here. All things are merely manifestations of energy or spirit. So here, when the world comes to understand this great truth, this is so powerful. I almost started tearing up. When the world comes to understand this great truth, we will be aware that all people are the same. They only appear to be different. The true dividing lines for mankind are not borders, color, or language, but simply ignorance and its polar opposite, understanding. So this is to get an understanding of what vibration is. And it shares later on that everything, that is so powerful. Everything you are seeking is seeking you, right? So you want to become a mental magnet. Attract what you need for the physical manifestation of your image. So if it's true that energy or spirit is neither created or destroyed, it just is in its original state, it's either energy or spirit. So it necessarily follows that everything you will ever want, this is key, everything that you will ever want is already here. This is a hard concept for some people. It is simply a matter of choosing the thoughts which will put you into harmonious vibration with the good that you desire, right? So everything you are seeking is seeking you in return. Therefore, everything you want is already yours. So you don't have to get anything. This is so important. You don't have to get anything. It is simply a matter of becoming more aware of what you already possess. Very magical words there. And we're going to talk about, becoming with a wonderful story Lou's excited to share here.
Well, I do want to, this is when Bob shared this with me, it was an eye opener. And the more I heard it, the more I had an understanding of it. So I tend to share it quite a bit. And I want you to think about an acorn. Now, you probably don't give a second thought about an acorn unless you twist your ankle or they're all over your yard and you have to rake them up. But within that acorn, there is a planned program, a seed that vibrates. Now, the most erudite scientists could look at that acorn and never see a mighty oak tree within that acorn. But when that acorn makes its way into the soil, into the rich soil, if it doesn't, it will just eventually die because it's either create or disintegrate. But if it makes its way into the rich, fertile soil, that seed that vibrates within that shell, within that acorn, that planned program, what it does, it's vibrating and sending out the frequencies in the soil. And the energy that is necessary to help this acorn start to sprout some roots will come marching, just like obedient soldiers, to that acorn. Now, there could be corn planted next to the acorn. There could be a poisonous plant next to that acorn. That energy that is in resonance with the acorn is not going to go to the corn or to the poisonous plants. It's going to go directly to the acorn because they are vibrating at the same frequency. So again, those energy particles, just like obedient soldiers, and now the acorn starts to sprout roots. Now it starts to come above the surface. And again, it starts to attract everything necessary. And this little acorn that we don't even give a second thought to becomes this beautiful, magnificent, 100-foot oak tree. And it has branches and limbs, and the leaves change colors, and it has acorns for the squirrels, etc., etc. Now that beautiful, mighty oak tree was in that shell, in that acorn. What's inside of you? We are the highest form of creation. But you see, this acorn and the oak tree can only be an acorn or an oak tree. That's all it can be. We have the ability to shift our vibration. That acorn cannot shift its vibration. It's got a planned program already set in it. We have the ability to shift our vibration. This is what makes us the highest form of creation. This is what makes us give us the ability to create our own environment. So we don't know what is inside our planned program. We have the ability to create. We don't have to be a squirrel. We don't have to be an oak tree. We can be anything, but it's in the being. That's why it's be, do, have. When you decide to be someone, everything else will show up, but you must make that decision. This is who I choose to be. This is what I choose to experience. This is what I choose to contribute. And when you are that person, when you be it, when you become it, the other things will fall in place. The other energy particles will march towards you in opportunities of the right people, the circumstances, the conditions, just like obedient soldiers. I really want you to think about that.
Yeah.
Love
I
it.
have two things that I want to say. Very good. The first is the comment that David have. If our thoughts are not congruent with our actions, our vibration is off, no harmony. This is very true. It's why to be able to be aware what thought we have, so the actions are in alignment with what we want and not in alignment with what we don't want. So if we thought is like, I'm not good enough, the action maybe is I hide, and this is not what we want. So it's very important that the thought is aligned with what we want. And then also with what you say, Lou, we have ability to create. And it came to my mind here that because sometimes people say, oh, but I cannot. And you say you need to make a decision to create what you want. And what I saw in my mind was a dark room. It is dark until you decide to flip the switch. Then the light is on. And it's only your own decision to flip the switch to get light on that room. And it's the same with us. It's just a decisional way to say, I am tired of not being the best of myself. To be in alignment with what I value, to in alignment with my dreams, my passions. And it's just the decision to flip the switch.
Lovely. This has been a powerful episode. And the question is, when are you going to switch? Flip the switch, right? And guess how you can start? Our links are in the description of what you're watching, right? In the comments or wherever. Reach out to us. Even if you don't see the link, set up a call with us. We want to meet you. We want to talk about what seed are you planting in your subconscious mind, right? Remember, Lou shared very eloquently that beautiful story. And it's one of my favorite stories as well, the acorn. But you have the ability to choose whatever you want to grow into. We all do. And sometimes we plant a bunch of seeds and don't water any of them and expect all this abundance. You know, you have to have clarity, and with application and guidance and understanding, you hit the levels that you truly want. So flip the switch. We're available right now. I want to talk to somebody today that's watching this. So, you know, this has been so powerful. Thank you for allowing me to kind of express some of those points at the end there, because they were so powerful in that chapter. And, you know, law of vibration and attraction, you're part of it. You can't separate yourself from it. Why not understand it, right? Use it towards the betterment of your life and your family's life and everyone around you, right? And wow, this chapter is so amazing. And I'm sure we're going to have another amazing episode next Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And, you know, just whatever time zone you're in, you can do the time work there when you're watching it. But this has been a pleasure. But don't let this just be inspiration and motivation. Reach out to us so you can make a change today. Make a shift today, because it doesn't happen just keeping it in your head all the time, thinking about it. Take the action. Don't stay where you are. Use this material. Trust me. You'll thank us later. Your future self will thank you. Oh, thank you. Speaking of thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.